Hello everyone, I'm Kalen North, and today we're going to be talking about basic strategies for Thunderspeaker. Thunderspeaker is a very powerful spirit with good tracks, a good energy spike, and gaining double powers on reclaim. Thunderspeaker's strengths include high mobility of Dahan. It's very easy to get Dahan where you need them when you need them. High offense with Thunderspeaker's right innate, which destroys towns and sometimes cities, and its powerful card Manifestation of Power and Glory. It's able to blow up the invaders en masse. And good defense as well, with its card Words of Warning and its ability to get Dahan to the right place. Counterattacks become a very powerful strategy. We're going to be playing on board D today, but these strategies can apply to most boards. First, invaders explore in the jungle, and we get to make a choice about how we want to start. Thunderspeaker has several options for how to open. One classic one is to grow from its top track twice and use sudden ambush to take out an explorer. Another good one is to use the energy spike on turn 1, growing from the bottom track to get to 2 card plays, and then using Voice of Thunder plus Manifestation of Power and Glory in order to take out a built-up land. In this case, because the invaders explored onto their city on the first turn, I'm actually going to use the Voice of Thunder and Manifestation of Power and Glory opening, and we'll just talk about that one for the course of this game. So in order to do this, we want to take our energy spike and grow from the bottom track, putting a presence in the land where we want to manifest. Then we're going to play Manifestation of Power and Glory and Voice of Thunder. This triggers our right innate, which is really useful in this situation because we're going to be able to both deal damage in land 2 and potentially blow up a town in land 7. Land 6 is going to get left alone for now. We'll see what we can do about that next turn. So I'll finish playing cards, nothing in the fast phase, let the invaders go in the jungle, and they explore in the wetlands. That's okay. So we're going to Voice of Thunder, moving 2 Dahan from land 1 into land 2, adding a presence as well in order to give us 6 full damage with Manifestation of Power and Glory. On some maps, this is only going to be able to deal 4 damage, in which case we'll usually need to lead the Furious Assault to take out the town before or after we manifest. If that's the case, then just make sure to spend all of your damage from Manifestation on the city and on the Explorer. So Manifestation to clear the land, lead the Furious Assault to clear land 7, and go on to turn 2. Now here we have a couple of options. We can just let land 6 go for a little while. It will be a bit of a problem land, but taking 1 blight isn't going to kill us. Or we could try and set up a defense there with a combination of sudden ambush and Words of Warning. That's really using 2 cards to solve 1 land, which is not a good ratio for us. So instead, I think it's going to be best for us to focus on lands 1 and 3 this turn and let land 6 go. The trade-off would be if we do clear land 6, it does help potentially cut off some explorers, but that's actually not going to be as good on this board because land 1 touches so much of the board that when they build in land 1, they're probably going to be able to get explorers anywhere they flip up a card. So this turn, I'm actually going to use a Reclaim immediately. This is one of the follow-ups you can do to the Voice of Thunder Manifestation of Power and Glory turn 1 strategy, where we go ahead and gain 2 new powers. I'm going to start with a minor, and we get, let's see, Call to Tend is not very useful. It does clear Blight potentially, and it does move Dahan potentially, but it is fairly expensive and not very good. We're going to be able to do much better with one of our other choices. Rain of Blood is nice for Thunderspeaker because our fear generation isn't quite as high as it is on some spirits, and it also has that animal element, which we really like for triggering our innate. A strong play can be playing Rain of Blood plus Manifestation of Power and Glory in order to both deal a bunch of damage in 1 land, but also generate some good fear at the same time. Shadows of the Burning Forest generates fear as well, which is nice at a 0 cost. Gaining us fire element, which is somewhat useful, and potentially adding some control of the invaders. However, I don't think that situationally this is going to be too good for us right now. We're just not in a position to use it, and even if it does come up later, it's still going to be only kind of marginal, whereas Gift of Constancy has a sun element that we very much want, and also is really nice in terms of getting us extra energy income in order to pay for our cards, especially Manifestation of Power and Glory. That Reclaim is also very handy. For the second power, I'm actually going to go ahead and gain a major right away. We often can gain a major here on our first reclaim and forget sudden ambush, if nothing else. Sudden ambush is, while useful, a bit overcosted. The main reason we wouldn't want to forget it this turn is we could clear an explorer in land 1, stopping the build, and that would deny an explorer in either land 7 or 8, because they're going to explore the sands or the jungles next turn. However, I think that depending on what major we see, we may be able to do a lot better than that. Worst case, if we do decide to keep sudden ambush after we see our major pull, we can forget Gift of Constancy or one of our other powers. So, major powers. Power Storm has great elements for us and lets us loop our other abilities, which is pretty nice. Vigor of the Breaking Dawn is obviously incredibly good on Thunderspeaker. 2 damage per Dahan in target land, and then pushing Dahan and dealing extra damage in the lands we push to is just ridiculously good. It's good on any spirit, but here it just wins us the game almost immediately. Entwined Power is a useful one for building up to the later game, but with the other choices we have here, it's just not going to be enough right now. We're never going to threshold it as Thunderspeaker, and despite the advantage we get from it, it's not going to be a good choice here. Rapid Wings of Sunlight is another really good choice, much like Vigor, in getting us to move Dahan and clear out a land potentially by teleporting our Dahan armies into a land where we have, or where we need them for defense and counterattacks. I am going to take Rapid Wings of Sunlight this turn, and because we're going to have 3 energy only, I'm not going to be able to play it and another card other than Voice of Thunder or Gift of Constancy. And so I'm thinking that I actually do want to forget Sudden Ambush because I'm not going to be able to play it this turn when it's going to have the biggest impact. We're going to use Rapid Wings of Sunlight to solve land 6 instead. And thus, I think that we're going to do best to forget Sudden Ambush because later in the game it's going to become even less relevant. So, Rapid Wings of Sunlight, and at this point we don't have a card that's going to let us trigger our right innate. So it's sort of a bit of a toss-up as to which one we want to do. Gift of Constancy is going to set us up better for a future turn, whereas Voice of Thunder is going to give us the Dahan movement we need in order to set up defense and counterattacks on next turn. I'm going to use Gift of Constancy because then I can get some extra energy and reclaim Rapid Wings of Sunlight to hopefully have an even more powerful turn next turn. So Gift of Constancy on ourselves, get that valuable energy, and then Rapid Wings of Sunlight I'm going to use on land 7. Obviously we can use it in land 2 or land 7, but I want to keep more of these Dahan near the coast where our problem areas currently are. So I'm going to warp these Dahan and get defense, and our fear card gives us more defense. But land 7 clears, invaders build in the wetlands, and explore in the sands. Alright, now we can gather the warriors. We can gather 1, push 2. So I'm actually going to go ahead and gather this one from land 5 into land 2, and then push 2 Dahan into land 1. I'm going to move 1 presence along with them. This is going to be with the intent of using Words of Warning in one of these lands next turn, or in this land next turn. We'll reclaim Rapid Wings of Sunlight, and now we need to decide what we want to actually play this next turn. We could start going down our energy track in order to get a little bit more energy income to afford more cards, or we could continue going down our plays track in order to try and get some addition, get up to a 3rd card play, and eventually that really nice reclaim 1 spot that Thunderspeaker has. I think that right now I want to go for the top track because I want to get more presence out on the board, but I also want to be able to play 4 cost worth of cards this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and add a presence in land 1 and a presence in land 2. And then I'm going to play Rapid Wings of Sunlight and Words of Warning. That is going to trigger the threshold on Rapid Wings of Sunlight, which isn't too relevant for us. We are just going to teleport our Dahan from land 2 into land 3. And then Words of Warning in land 1, of course. And the invaders clear from the wetlands. and we've gotten every building off of the board already, until they build in land 4 and 7, of course. We're going to try and do something about those lands now. We get to gather 3, push 2 this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and gather, or take the Dahan from land 6 and split them up between lands 7 and land 4. Excuse me, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just gather 2 Dahan into land 7 from land 6. And then we're going to go ahead and reclaim again. This turn, we want to set up defense in land 7, which is why I want to reclaim. We could do a play with Manifestation of Power and Glory and Voice of Thunder, but if we'd done that, we would have needed to do something else as far as setting up these Dahan here. I'm going to gain minor powers just because we are a little tight on energy right now, and Drift Down into Slumber is great for us here. Getting defense in Sands is cheaper than Words of Warning, and is potentially quite useful next turn even for defending in the jungle and land 2. Gift of Living Energy is a phenomenal power for Thunderspeaker. It has sun and fire elements, which is really nice for us, as well as usually having 2 Sacred Sites to give us the bonus energy. Veil the Knight's Hunt is another incredible power for Thunderspeaker, being able to pick off individual explorers and deny builds, or pushing Dahan fast in order to get counterattacks set up. And Uncanny Melting is rather underwhelming for us. We don't really want to worry about cleaning up Blight too much. The extra fear could be nice, but it's such a situational card that it's not going to really be worth it. Because we got Gift of Constancy earlier, I'm not actually going to take Gift of Living Energy, even if I would like it most of the time. And I'm sort of waffling between Drift Down into Slumber and Veil the Knight's Hunt here. Veil the Knight's Hunt could let us get more Dahan into land 4, if we wanted to try and do a double defend, but we aren't going to actually be able to play a third card for the defense. And so I think that using Drift Down into Slumber is going to be a little more powerful for us here. I'm going to gain another minor. And we got Sap the Strength of Multitudes is another good defend card. Doesn't have great elements for us, but we have that innate air on our tracks. And so that lets us always use it at range 1. Gift of Power, not too useful for us. We already gain powers pretty well, and the elements are kind of misaligned for us. Gnawing Rootbiters, similarly, elements aren't great. Having Animal is nice, but pushing towns is usually not what we want to be doing. We want to be destroying towns instead. And Steam Vents is okay. Again, we can clear and explore with it, but we're probably not going to hit that threshold most games. And it's just not got great elements for us. So I'm going to take Sap the Strength of Multitudes here. Now, this gives us a couple of options for what to do. I could play Sap the Strength of Multitudes and Drift Down into Slumber just so that we defend both of our sands and go on to next turn, trying to have a bigger turn then. Or we could play just one of them and then play something else alongside it in order to set up for a more powerful turn next turn. I think that our best play here is probably going to be using Drift Down into Slumber to solve land 7 rather than using Words of Warning on it, just because that way we can defend it, but we also don't need to pay 1 for Words of Warning, and we can save it for next turn. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Gift of Constancy so that we can afford to play some more expensive cards next turn, and also reclaim Drift Down into Slumber if we want it. Or Gift of Constancy if we want it. And then we're just going to let land 4 Blight this turn, which is fine. And we're going to Gift of Constancy here. And each player removes an Explorer from a land with Dahan. Alright, well, let's clear land 1 here to stop the adjacency on land 8 if we get mountains coming up next. Because of the Ravage in land 7, this town will be destroyed before the Explore, so we definitely want to clear out that adjacency and try and deny an Explore if we can. Invaders build in the coastal lands and explore in the wetlands. So land 1 is nicely solved here already, because they'll ravage there and the Dahan will destroy them. I am going to reclaim Gift of Constancy instead of Drift Down into Slumber. We've got better defend cards available to us right now, and so that's not going to be as relevant. Next for growth, I think that with where we are on energy, we could probably go for 3 card plays this turn and try to play a couple of our big hitter cards. So I'm going to go ahead and grow from the bottom track again without needing to take extra energy. We'll put 1 presence in land 7, and now we sort of need to decide where we want extra presence that's going to get left out on the board, because we have 6 presence to match our 6 Dahan. I'm going to put that into land 3 right now, because that is one of our problem lands, and although we should be able to solve it this turn, it's one where I think that we're going to be happier if we have an extra presence there just in case something weird happens. Rapid Wings of Sunlight is going to let us solve land 2, and Sap the Strength of Multitudes is going to let us solve land 3. We could use Words of Warning instead, actually, if we want to be able to get our innates to go fast this turn. I don't think that's as big a deal right now, largely because with the defense, we're going to solve all of these lands, and we're happy to destroy this town in land 4 in the slow phase if we can get Dahan into there, which we already have Animal Element from Rapid Wings of Sunlight, and so we don't need to worry about getting to 4 air this turn. So I'll use Sap the Strength of Multitudes, and then to actually finish off the invaders in land 4, so we're going to counterattack in land 2, we're going to counterattack in land 1, we're going to counterattack in land 3. We just want to clear land 4 as fast as we can, as well as getting a little more fear. I'm actually going to go ahead and play Manifestation of Power and Glory this turn. Manifestation will let us blow up that land by moving some Dahan in and then using Manifestation. And also, we get our innate power to destroy a town so that we can potentially manifest in another high-value location, such as the jungles, just to kill a single explorer if we need to, and then take out the town in land 4, allowing us to also deny a build. So Rapid Wings of Sunlight on land 7, no gather, fly them over, bring our presence, and then Sap the Strength of Multitudes in land 3 for the defense. Ravage occurs, we clear the coasts. Invaders build in the wetlands, but they're cleared, and invaders explore in the mountains. So now we get to gather 3, push 2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to gather these 2 Dahan in from land 1 and 1 Dahan from land 2, bring our presence along as always, and then I'm going to push 2 Dahan into land 4, bringing presence along. Manifestation we'll use to actually clear land 5. I know it's killing just 1 explorer, but it gets us that fear we need, and it prevents the build for next turn. And then that actually becomes relevant because we're going to destroy the town in land 4, and that'll just win us the game because we got to terror level 2. If we were still at terror level 1, if we hadn't gotten quite as much fear earlier on, doing that manifestation in land 5 to clear the explorer is going to be more valuable, even if it's overpriced, just to deny the build. Thunderspeaker can often win at terror level 1 by fully clearing the board. Usually you need to keep sudden ambush if you want to do that because you have to pick off some explorers near the end. Manifestation is another way to do it, but I guess don't be afraid to manifest for only 1 damage if you really need it in a particular land. Terror level 2 Thunderspeaker can win pretty easily if you can get to that 12 fear to get there. On higher difficulties, obviously, it's more than 12 fear to get to terror level 2, but on higher difficulties, you're also less likely to get the terror level 1 victory. So it's going to be more of a slog, but there's going to be more buildings to destroy. So that's Thunderspeaker. If you have any thoughts on it, or comments or questions, things you disagreed with, please let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching.